Look, I think all of these situations provide opportunities for us, Chris. I think that there is a way out, and I think that the way out is so simple that people just can't see it. And I think, as I've often said, to build community, get to know your neighbours so that we can simply stand together and address this. Because, I mean, what we're facing here is what I refer to as a meme. It's simply an idea. It's a system that we believe is real, but it only actually exists on paper. It's been created by a psychopathic group of people who've injected an interest-based money supply into this system to keep everybody within the system in a state of shortage, but they're the ones who issue the supply, so they're effectively outside of the system, and they've designed it in such a way that through this imaginary meme that only exists on paper that we believe is reality, those who control it are extracting every single resource on the planet into their hands. They're taking everything that is real about this reality. They're possessing everything that's real, and they're doing it by means of a fictional system that we support simply because we believe it to be real. But what's real is us. What's real is the connection we have to each other. What's real is the connection we have to the world around us. And it's as simple as realizing that can change all of this reality. I mean, I know that sounds probably very esoteric to some people, but it really is as simple as that. I live my life in a state of preeminent trust. I believe my purpose in reality is to improve reality by my existence in it. I won't do anything to profit from anybody else. I won't do anything to hurt anybody. I won't do anything to anybody that I would not have done to myself. I mean, sure, if I'm put in a position where I need to defend myself, I will do so, but I won't do in a way of aggression towards the person I might be fighting against or defending myself against. I'll love this person as much as I love anybody else, but I'll simply defend myself because it needs to be done. And I think if everybody can approach reality from that energetic state, we can literally change everything. And I think it's going to continue to get worse until we realize this about ourselves and we start viewing ourselves as each other. This is why every radio show that I've done, I've finished with In Lakesh, I'm another yourself. And I really believe this is the answer to every problem that we face.
Chris, do you want to throw in a few words?
Yes. I agree with the wisdom that Max has broadcast there. I think, doing this emergency broadcast, I think we should take the opportunity to actually direct a message now to the political elite. What's happened in Tokyo today is that the officials at many of the embassies have evacuated. The officials from the embassy of Bahrain, Angola, Austria, they've gone. They understand that Tokyo is in threat, and many of those embassies have shut up and the people have been moved out. All of the French people in Tokyo were summoned to the French consulate earlier today and yesterday, and they were given potassium iodide tablets. And that's a sure sign that the elite in the embassy network understand that the situation is going to get very, very bad indeed. So in this broadcast, what I'd like to say to these politicians, and what I'd like to say to Emperor Hirohito as well, I think he's 77 years old now. He's highly respected. I would like to say, sir, I think you've learnt your lesson, and that if you have any government officials proclaiming that nuclear power is safe in the future, for the good of the Japanese people, please use your empirical influence to desist from building any more nuclear facilities. And I would also like to say to the royal elite of Britain, the Saxe-Coburg royal family, the Windsors, they control the Crown Estates. And the Crown Estates own 55% of all of the foreshores of the United Kingdom. 55%, that's more than half of all the beaches. And they have allowed the French EDF company to build really large numbers of nuclear facilities right on British beaches. Please do not give these companies any more permission to build on Crown Estates land. Please stop giving building and planning permits to any more nuclear facilities. You have learnt your lesson. Now, I'm an optimist, and I basically believe that even when we are faced with these great disasters, the human spirit will prevail. The royal political elite, if they do not stop now this continual building program of more and more nuclear facilities, will discover that the human spirit will bite back. And enough. And I want to say that in this broadcast, because the mainstream broadcast news feeds for the last few days have really not done anything in terms of allowing the public to have their say. I've seen a few French broadcasts today with people who live in the vicinity of the many, many French nuclear reactors saying, well, you know, I live next to a reactor and I think it's safe. These facilities are inherently unsafe. You can go from safety to a critical disaster within hours, exactly as Max has said. So I say this to the Crown Estates commissioners. I say it to the Bank of England nominees who control the royal portfolio of investments. Stop. Stop now. Do not invest any more money into nuclear energy. And I say to the bosses of the utility companies, close these places down. Close them down. We now have 2 giant dead zones on the face of our planet. One in Fukushima, one in Chernobyl. Just shut these things down, dismantle them, move this contaminated material from all these hundreds of sites, store some of it at Fukushima. The place is contaminated anyway. It'll stay radioactive for the next 25,000 years. Store some of it at Chernobyl. Bury this now under boron crystals and sand, and then build a sarcophagus over all of this material. Ship it by sea and by land, and just move it out of our communities. We, the people, do not want this risk. I don't care about the arguments of whether it's safe or not. I worry first and primarily about the risk. It is obviously not worth the risk. So I would like to say that to the political, corporate, royal elite. And I thank you, Chris and Cherie, and I just hope that my friends in Japan manage to live through this, and I hope that the ecological catastrophe is not as bad as I fear it is, as far as all of the sea life in the Pacific is concerned. And when we start seeing mass deaths and beached whales and sea life dying, let this be a reminder that nuclear power is not worth the risk.
I completely
That's well
agree. We
said.
actually have a plant about 100 miles away from here. I didn't even realize it until this disaster because I never bothered to look at nuclear facilities around me. But some good news here. It says Japan's disaster chills plans for Texas nuclear plant. Apparently they were planning to add some more reactors, and now they're backing off of the situation. So maybe your message will ring through to the people that need to hear it, and maybe we can stop this insanity. I mean, this is insane. How are we messing with this kind of technology, which has the potential to destroy us all? And make this, not only destroy us all, but make this planet uninhabitable for centuries and centuries and centuries.
Yes, for thousands of years, actually. I really hope that EDF now cancel their plans to build another 12 nuclear reactors in Britain. And I hope that people who've been taking backhanders, backsheesh, bribes, people like Tony Blair who have been promoting the idea of nuclear power as being safe, back off and disappear and go into their corners and their private islands and wherever they've stashed all of this cash. And we have to say now, as a people, we understand that this is not worth the risk. And please, everybody who's listening to this broadcast, tell your friends to send a letter, even if it's just a handwritten letter on the back of your next electricity bill. Send a letter to these utility companies and to your government representatives saying that you do not want a single watt of electricity to be supplied to your home any longer that has come from a nuclear facility. Assert your rights and be open about it. If you have a blog, publish your letter in the open and tell people that it's not worth the risk.
It's not worth the risk at all.
Yeah, and we'll definitely do that. And we need to get a Geiger counter.
Yes, absolutely. You can buy Geiger counters for, they're not very expensive, and I've got some links on my Facebook page. Now, what I'd like to do before we finish the broadcast is just to explain that last summer I wrote a 40-page investigative article that covers 3 Mile Island, Sellafield, Dounreay, Chernobyl, and it also tells people what's happening to all this nuclear waste, which they now plan to dissolve into acid, and they're starting to have very strange secret experiments with this nuclear waste in particle accelerators, such as CERN, which covers the border between France and Switzerland. And that 40-page article is now free. Now, all you need to do to get that article is just go to enigmatv.com, and there's a spinning globe of the world, and next to it there's a little box. Submit your email, and you'll immediately receive this 40-page investigative article. It has maps of the fallout from 1986 with the Chernobyl disaster. It has pictures of the mutated frogs which are found from time to time in the vicinity of 3 Mile Island. It has all of the information about the Crown estates and all of the nuclear facilities which have been built on the lands which are controlled by the royals. So it's enigmatv.com. It's enigmatv.com. You submit your email, and within minutes you will receive this article.